the idea for today, I have no neutral thoughts, is basically saying, everyone, remember that whole correction process that we're undertaking? That whole correction process is for us to awaken, to see clearly, to relax, to breathe. The awakening journey, the awakening process is one where we're going to learn to feel. We're going to feel our way to greater love, greater ease, greater harmony. Because those attributes come from our deepest sense of self and our deepest sense of self only. So as we understand this deeply and we practice with it, we start to recognize through our own sense of how we feel at any given moment. We then start to have a very specific, present, accurate GPS that is helping us to discern you're in alignment with your greatest sense of self, or you're not in alignment with your greatest sense of self. And when you're not in alignment, this isn't to judge, blame, condemn ourselves or others. This is a moment of revision where we practice, old habit pattern of my mind that through conditioning we have been holding thoughts consciously, and a lot of them become habits that are like programs that run unconsciously. And today's idea, lesson 16, is helping us have a tool that we can start to discern, to remove any obstacle that may be getting in the way of us resting in that deeper sense of self. Lesson 16 says, the idea for today is the beginning step in dispelling the belief, the certainty that we might be holding that our thoughts have no effects. Everything that you see is the result of your thoughts, and there's no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little. They're not powerful thoughts or weak thoughts. This is the key. They're merely true or false. They're either in alignment with the attributes of our deepest essence, or they're not. So I want to say it in this way. The quality of our thoughts are going to generate a felt sense, an emotion. So it may be helpful now to start recapping some of the earlier lessons that we've been seeing, that we've been practicing with. So for example, lesson 13 was helping us to practice noticing that emotional arousal that can manifest in many, many forms, but it's ultimately fear. That fear can feel like stress, it can feel like distress, it could feel like a contraction, it could feel like a sense of unsafety. Sometimes we don't even have words for it. It could be like a yucky feeling that just doesn't feel good. It's ultimately suffering, so we need to start recognizing what suffering feels like. And underneath that suffering is a feeling of lack. There's a lack of the attributes of our deepest essence. In lesson 13, we already had started practicing with this notion. So this is something that we're going to continue to practice anytime that we feel suffering, distress, fear. It is because we have no neutral thoughts. So we can start to investigate those thoughts, and we start to now know they're not rooted in the attributes of our deepest essence. that is the reason why they don't feel good. And that is what the second paragraph here is saying. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or multiplies illusions, false premises. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it by doing so. That's what lesson 14 was helping us to see. That if we hold a thought based on a false premise and we speak from there, act from there, believe it to be real, if it's false, it's false. If it's not rooted in our deepest essence, it's not rooted in reality. So we can now start to identify that the deepest sense of self has attributes that are life-giving. And any contracting thoughts are thoughts that are life-depleting. Now I want to summarize all of that by saying there are no neutral thoughts, and we're going to understand what we are aligning with, consciously or unconsciously, based on the quality of how the thought feels. So the quality of our thinking will shape our moment-to-moment experience. The quality of our thinking is what we are constantly feeling. The quality of our thinking also shapes our beliefs. By practice, our beliefs are what feels true. And what feels true is there because we have practiced thinking of it. And when we practice thinking of it, we're practicing giving energy to it. And when we practice giving energy to it, eventually we start to believe it as real. So the quality of our moment-to-moment experience is based on the quality of our thinking. And that's what lesson 16 is so powerfully helping us to see clearly. Every single day is showing us where we get stuck, where we're holding thoughts that are not in alignment with that greater field that we are, our truest nature, our truest presence. Examples of that are any time that we feel suspicious, that we feel like someone is attacking us and we have to defend ourselves, that we feel judgment, that we feel blame towards ourselves, or we want to blame the world for something. Anytime that we feel that we're being taken advantage of. These are all ideas that are there for whatever past condition we experienced. But this is the whole process that we're undoing, bringing a lot of understanding to ourselves so that we can see clearly where we get stuck, where we lose our power, or where we unconsciously give it away. We're not victims of life. We are co-creating with life. And I recognize that can sound like a mouthful, while we're dispelling the belief that our thoughts don't have effect. Because if we truly believe that we're a victim, we're holding a thought that has an effect of a pattern that we're going to continue to experience, where we're going to be pattern matching to have evidence that, yep, there it is, I'm a victim. Yep, there it is, life is unfair. So these are the beliefs that we're reinforcing through thoughts every single day of our life. And I say this because I myself have seen all of these things within me. That's why I can talk about it. And that's why I'm also saying there is a way out. This workbook is unraveling all of that. And indeed, I have no neutral thoughts. they all contribute to how I feel. And that's a blessing. That is a gift, because in any given moment, we have a GPS that is helping us navigate through the conscious and unconscious patterns, parts of our experience that are keeping us separate, or helping us navigate to greater love, greater peace, greater sense of innocence and relaxation, greater sense of well-being. So as we navigate our way back to that greater field of love, we're going to know that we're getting closer based on how we feel. And that is going to be an indication of what thoughts we're holding at any moment to be true. So with that as the reflection for today's lesson, I leave you to the practice of the day. Welcome it, open up to it, notice that you have a perfect GPS now that's going to help you navigate your way back to your deepest essence, and it is a practice. And we can leverage any feeling of pain as a doorway to recognize where we have gotten stuck. It's something that I say with enthusiasm because, trust me, I can share stories about how aversive I've been to suffering, and yet meeting my suffering with kindness and compassion has been one of the greatest tools that I've experienced in my own pathway to freedom. So I'm sharing with enthusiasm to say there is discomfort in feeling our own discomfort, but feeling it is the doorway. Feeling it without judgment, without blaming ourselves or blaming the world. That's key, though. That's key. And so with that said, go ahead and enjoy the practice for today, and I will see you on lesson 17. Thank you.